Garmin Guru. In this video, I'm going to show you how to stop your SatNav falling off the windscreen like this. So first, let's consider why a SatNav mounted to a windscreen with a suction mount falls off at all. So if you imagine this blue line here represents a windscreen, and this represents a SatNav with a suction mount. So when you get into your car, you'll either press the suction mount against the windscreen like this, or on some Garmin devices, you'll use a lever. So when you press the suction mount against the windscreen, that forces some air out, and then when it contracts, that creates a vacuum in this space. So the pressure here is lower than outside, and that's what sucks it to the windscreen. When you use a Garmin one with a lever, that increases the volume of this space, which in turn creates the vacuum and the suction effect. So now that's sitting nicely, but what can happen to make it fall off? Well, there's one of typically three things. The first is contamination. So the inside of your vehicle isn't perfectly clean, and there'll be particles of dust and so on that can get between the seal and the windscreen. So when that happens, that can compromise the seal, the air goes rushing in, and as such, the SatNav falls off the windscreen. The second scenario is when it's cold outside. So if you imagine it's 0 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit, you get into your car and your car is cold. So as before, you mount your SatNav on the windscreen with a suction mount. Everything's fine. Now, as soon as you start your engine, the inside of your car and your windscreen are going to start heating up. It's because the heater in your car is going to make the environment more comfortable and also demist your windscreen. So as that happens, this whole section here starts to heat up, and the air in that vacuum section also starts to heat up. So when that happens, when a gas heats up, it expands, and that reduces the strength of the vacuum here, and as a result, it can become so weak that the SatNav falls off the windscreen. The final scenario here is when it's very hot outside, so maybe 20 degrees Celsius or 68 degrees Fahrenheit, and as again, you mount your SatNav on the windscreen as such and create the vacuum. Now, instead of the car's heater, what you'll have is your car's air conditioning, or in fact just driving your car around, the convection will cool the windscreen, and as such, that will cool the air in this section here. Now that will actually increase the strength of the vacuum, because as a gas cools, it contracts, and it can increase the strength so much that it actually compromises the seal and the SatNav falls off the windscreen. So what can we do about this? Well, the first solution is fairly obvious and fairly simple, and that's to keep the surfaces clean, the surface of the suction mount and the surface of the windscreen. But if you're removing and replacing your SatNav frequently or using it between different cars, that's not a very practical solution, because it will continue to get dirty and it will continue to fall off the windscreen. So what I'm going to suggest now are some possible alternatives. The first of these is a vent mount. Now, these are available cheaply on eBay and also from manufacturers such as Garmin and TomTom. Before you get one of these, you should check the strength of the vents in your car and check that they'll be strong enough to support your SatNav. I drive a Volvo, so my vents are hewn from granite, extremely strong, so there's not a problem here. This is actually the method I choose to mount my SatNav in my car. I've mounted it on the vent on the driver's side, and when it's in position, it looks quite OEM, original equipment manufacturer, and is nice and discreet out of the way. Passengers also can't see it very clearly, which is handy because they can't see how fast I'm going. The next method is to use a friction mount, commonly known as a beanbag. So this is a heavy bag with a grippy surface. Installing these is very, very easy. You just place them on the dashboard, install a bracket, and then click in your SatNav. These are really useful if you want to transfer your SatNav between different cars and work very effectively. Some people question whether these will actually stay on the dashboard, so I devised a test in order to show that they do. So here I am in my car. So I'm going to pull out here and effectively launch my car and then brake very hard. And you see it didn't move at all, so a very effective solution for mounting your SatNav. So finally, there's a variation on the friction mount here from Garmin. This model looks slightly slicker, and in fact how this works is it has a slightly stickier base, which you have to peel this plastic back to expose before you place on your dashboard, and because it has a slightly stickier base, it weighs a little bit less and looks a bit nicer, if you like. So that goes in place like so. The SatNav bracket clicks to it as before, and then you can install your SatNav in that as before. There we are. So that's how to stop your SatNav falling off the windscreen by using some alternative mounting solutions. Thanks for watching, and remember to like, share and subscribe.